So this is the other basket case that I bought for a really good deal. I bought it with the BW 200, the big wheel that I showed before, and it basically came just like this, except I already put the clutch plates back in the clutch basket and got that sealed up. The rest of the bike came in some bins, and it was a ton of different pieces. So right now, I already pulled the piston off, and yeah, it looks pretty bad. So I already pulled this off, ordered parts that I need to put the top end back together. Right now I'm just cleaning off the gasket material, and once that's done, might need a few more odds and ends. It was missing a clutch lever, but I had this left over from the RM80, so I just throw that on there for now. And it does, I already checked it, but it does work and activate the clutch. The handlebars that came with it are bent, so get new handlebars. This needs to be replaced. The throttle tube needs to be replaced. I already ordered a new one. I think it was like $9 or something like that. There's just a bunch of different odds and ends for this bike that it needs, but luckily nothing majorly expensive, or nothing that no major surprises, I should say. Needs some new plastics. Somebody had fun on this. I have all the other plastics as well as a tank. Radiators are here. I didn't see any damage, but we'll find out if they leak. So yeah, we'll see if we can get this put back together. But this is so initially on the posting he had it listed as a 2010 RM125, which they stopped producing the RM125, I believe, in 2007 or 8. I don't know. I can't remember. If you know, you can put it in the comments. But I believe they stopped in one of those years. Either way, they did not produce this bike in 2010. So we got to the bottom of it and we looked up the VIN, and sure enough, it's a 2002 RM125. He thought it might have been a 2001. After I pointed out that they didn't make them in 2010, maybe he just transposed the numbers, or the previous seller transposed the numbers. But yeah, it is indeed a 2002, and everything else looks pretty good. I don't see any other major damage. It's just a lot of bits and pieces. I noticed when I pulled it apart that it had a hot rods rod in here, so I'm guessing the crank has been replaced at some point. Not sure what all else has been done, but it seems good as far as the bottom end goes. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, they definitely did some work on it. So I got the piston in. I just installed it just now. Drilled the 2 holes for the power valve, and I think we should be all set. So I'm about to start putting the gasket on so I can get the cylinder on, and then pretty soon we'll be able to fire this up. Although I just realized recently that I do not have an ignition coil, so I did order that. Should be here sometime tomorrow, and hopefully we can get some spark pretty easily on this. I'm sure the carburetor needs to be cleaned out as well, but we're getting there. So I got the cylinder put on. Haven't torqued it down quite yet, but I went ahead and connected the power valve in here. So we're making some progress. By the way, when I bought this bike, it came, I cleaned this out quite a bit. This was completely filthy, dusty, nasty. I still have parts in my truck, so it came in a ton of different pieces. Part of the challenge with getting this one back together is finding out what's missing, what's here. So I found out recently, like I mentioned, that the coil pack is missing. I didn't realize that initially. Need some handlebars, not because they're missing, but because they're bent. So there's just some odds and ends that are, this was actually in the air box when I bought it. I just put it on here just so I can make sure the throttle actually works. But so yeah, we're making some progress, and so far it's been pretty good. So far all the pieces were here. The seller was pretty convinced that everything was there. I can connect this again. So far he's been right. He's had everything in here. I haven't been missing anything yet besides that coil pack. So got the coil put in. Just got a generic Amazon one, and I did get a spark plug. I did confirm that there's already spark. Last night I did a compression test, and there's plenty of compression. I think it was around 165, 170, somewhere around there. So plenty of compression, good there. Put the radiators back on. Haven't filled it up yet, but in a second, I think I might be able to give it a couple kicks and see if we can get this puppy started. Still don't have handlebars. I do have the tank over here. There's what's left of the seat and what's left of the handlebars. The handlebars are bent pretty good. Right there, you can see a pretty good bend. And I do order some new ones, but I'm gonna just go ahead and put these on for now just to have something to hold on to, and we'll see what happens. All right, so I got the gas tank on. Still have to tighten up the radiators. I just threw them on, but all the hoses are connected. It's filled. Pipes on. Got the silencer, and I did give it a couple kicks. Didn't give any signs of life, so decided to take a peek in the carb because this bike's been sitting for a while, I'm sure. So sure enough, I took a peek, and the pilot jet is totally clogged. So I'll clean this out. I took a look at the main also, and it looks good, but I'll get this carb cleaned out a little bit, and hopefully we can get it fired up here in a little bit. So I had it all put back together, gave it one kick, and it fired up. So that was the good news. The bad news is it was leaking fuel all over the place. So what it is this fuel needle valve. There's an O-ring on the outside of it. This is where the needle sits in. This O-ring is completely shot. It cracked when I was taking it off, but it is super brittle. So I had an O-ring that fit pretty well on there. Hopefully this one does the trick. We'll give it another chance. Put it all together and give it another shot. So, moment of truth, I got the carb all, the float put back together and the needle back in there. So, let's see. It's not leaking. This is where it was leaking before. It would leak past that O-ring, and the fuel comes out when the float's down. Alright, so I think we're in good shape. Make a little bit of a mess here. Everything else looked pretty good. Wouldn't be a terrible idea to just rebuild the whole car, but everything else looked pretty good. The needle was still pretty rubbery, so let's get this put back together. One of these screws, somebody else before me had an issue, so they turned it into a flathead. So I'm just going to put this one in the easiest location to get to, and that'll just make it easier to take off. The others are still Phillips says they should be. Another good reason to buy a rebuild kit. They would come with the new screws. If you're not rebuilding a whole carb, this is a really easy way to just get to the float. Instead of taking the whole thing out, you could just give it a twist, and you can get to it pretty easily. And then just give it a twist back into position. Lining up the little divot on the carb boot. Let's turn the fuel on now so we can see if it leaks while we're putting it back together. So right now the float is all the way down, it's filling up with fuel, and the float should put the needle into the needle valve and shut it off, and it looks like it did. All these little plastic hoses need to be replaced. They're not plastic, they feel like plastic right now, that's how dry they are. Alright, so let's give it a kick, see if we can get it started again. Fuel's on. Turn the choke on for now. So it fired right up, but idling really high. So up here, I still need to fix all this throttle stuff. I'm not really sure what's going on. This is probably why it's idling so high. Cable's all broken up. So I'll probably need to buy a new, I will need to buy a new throttle cable. This is all sticky and nasty too. A different size here, so I'm not going to be able to use this cable. So let's take it back out, use the old one. Throttle's sticking a little bit. Well, let's see if we can start it up again. Okay, we're flooding again. Alright, so forgot to push the record button, but it started up pretty quickly. And no more fuel leak. So I had to adjust the float just a little bit. See if it'll fire back up. So I gotta adjust the idle. There's no more adjustment. I think this cable just needs to be replaced. It's damaged in a couple of areas. So I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's got something weird going on. It looks like it just pulled out of there. I might take a look. Maybe I can do something about that. And there's no adjustment at the carburetor cable side either. So I'll see if I can adjust it a little bit. But the good news is, it seems to be running pretty well. So I obviously need to fix up the plastics a little bit. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to be tightened up on it, but for a RM125 that came in a bucket of parts, this seemed to turn around pretty good. So got it all put back together. Still need to replace some of the plastics. The front number plate is broken off, so I'll replace that. The radiator cover over here is broken at the top. The rear fender is broken. There's a couple of odds and ends that I still need to do, but I'm just giving it a quick rinse now, and looks like a pretty nice bike. I also have some replacement handlebars on the way, as well as I'm missing the back of this kill switch, the little spring that holds it onto the handlebar, so I'm missing that. I think grips, obviously. Took a dive in the dirt. But even on the ground, it still looks pretty good. Let me pick it up before it drops all the fuel all over the place. Okay. There we go. I think this stand just stuck in the ground a little bit. But anyway, All right. Looks like this front fender's broken too. Maybe just bent. I may just get all new plastics for it. So yeah, got it all cleaned up. Starts up nicely now. I'll do a follow-up video once I get all the other parts put on, but I think I'll end this one here. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future.